shake it, baby.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. It's Good Friday. I guess we call it the Holy Week, all this week. But I'm on my way home. As soon as I get empty here in Louisville, Kentucky, I'm actually going to deadhead home because I can't find anything decent to get up there. So I'm just going to deadhead 4 hours. But I'm taking this opportunity to kind of comment on what I'm seeing in the market with load. I started to talk about load flow on my last video. One of the things that I've noticed, obviously, so when I got started, capacity was up. There was a lot of freight. I think when I, just with Landstar's board, I think it was like around 70-something thousand loads on the load board. And that gradually continued to increase. And it got up to where there was over 90,000 loads per day on the board, or at least 90,000 searchable loads that were on the load board. We're talking like 93,000, I remember seeing at one time. But things have kind of changed since then, and I've kind of noticed how those numbers kind of ticked down. 80,000, 70,000. Now it's in the 6,000, 63,000, 64,000. What I've learned that with freight, it is all about capacity. Capacity on the freight side, but also capacity on the truck side. And these are just some of the forecast measures that I see that dictate freight cost. For example, when you're in certain areas, let's use Atlanta for example. Atlanta has a lot of truck traffic. And so to get and I'm speaking to the choir, those that don't understand it, maybe this will be some information that you can pick up on. The more trucks, the less freight may pay. The less trucks, the more, I believe, or it's not I believe, for a fact, the better rates you get. So one of my strategies has always been to go to areas where there are less trucks, in a sense. It don't always work that way, but during the high freight time, when freight numbers were booming, it didn't really affect it. I mean, it affected, you was able to get better rates in other cities, but sometimes it was a little less. So you were able to get the numbers that that look really good. Now I'm seeing that the capacity is down, and I kind of really noticed it, about a week ago when I was trying to find a load out of Atlanta. And, it just was not like it normally was. It was just, the options were slim. And, well, I would say this, going into the Midwest, it just wasn't there. Now, don't get me wrong, freight is out. Freight is there. There is freight. But you don't have as many options as you do. I was watching a video from a gentleman, Cash is King. Good content, by the way. He mentioned that he was in St. Louis around the end of March, and he said he would normally be able to find about 20, 30 loads coming out of St. Louis going into the Minnesota area. But in this case, he had about 8 or 9, 6 loads or so to choose from. And that is a direct effect of capacity. There's just not as many loads on the load board as there was, a few months ago. A lot of things can be dictating that, and reading some of the articles and so forth, I believe during the time when the freight numbers were just record high, the market was in a frenzy. They had all this product in their warehouses and so forth, and they needed to move it. because of the anticipated shortages, the supply and demand. Supply and demand, in my opinion, is still broken. It's still a shortage. And I give an example. My family, we just purchased a home, and we're having a hard time getting furniture for it because everything is backlogged or not available. It's you buy it, it will be available July. You'll get delivery of it. So the capacity in that sense is low. Certain things that you look for on the shelves. I'm a big fan of Monsters. I love Monsters, but I actually like the 0-calorie Monster. I think it's in a blue container or so, light blue lettering. And I haven't seen them as plentiful as I have prior. Supply and demand. I don't know. Could be. As a trucker, it's a good idea to kind of look at things, keep an eye on things. When toilet paper was and paper towel was a shortage, that was a direct effect of the supply chain. So what we're dealing with now is, I think, shippers and receivers, particularly shippers, are kind of holding on to their product now. They're not necessarily in a frenzy to move it as much as they were a few months ago. The reality is that they dictate the price. They dictate the numbers. We think the brokers do, but the shippers, they dictate. They tell you what they think they want to pay. And of course, that's where the negotiation begins. We as truckers, we just get kind of caught in the middle of it. We got a lot of skin in the game because of freight, fuel, vehicles, driver pay, and things like that. So I believe that we as an industry of truckers should not panic. I've always heard, guys mention on the channel, hey, don't get used to these rates, and I tell you right now, I didn't get used to them because I knew they were going to come down. You just kind of enjoyed the fat of the land while you could. But you don't change anything. You still operate your vehicle and hold on to revenue as much as you can. Right now, with fuel being up, fuel mileage is a very forefront thought. You need to be thinking about that. And some of the things that I can suggest, there's those words again, should suggest to those of us that are out here, owner operators, is to, if you can't run light, don't not take heavy loads if there's opportunities there and the money's right. But try to run light as possible as often as you can. I was running light for the last few weeks with the exception of a heavy load, but my fuel mileage went up significantly, and I really, really noticed it in the bank account. We're getting 9. Sometimes I was getting about 9.2 miles to the gallon. It was amazing, and I really felt it. I was able to run from Portage, Wisconsin, up into Faribault, Minnesota, reload up in Afton, Minnesota, which is just east of Minneapolis, St. Paul, head back down and topped off in Gary. And I put in about maybe 70-something, 80-something gallons, man. It was just a lot of miles. I was able to run all the way down to from Gary down to Atlanta, Georgia, and had fuel to move around, and we were able to get back out there just south of Chattanooga and refuel. And again, put in about maybe 80-some gallons, so that those things help. So yeah, you don't fret. Also keep an eye on your tire pressure. Tire pressure makes a big difference, man, in your fuel economy. I know I said this about a week or so ago. Keep an eye on your your tire pressure. Those things, you can get a drastic change in your fuel economy with proper tire pressure. So I say that just don't fret. Don't fret at all. It's bouncing back. this is the way it works. You have high times, you have low times. Freight is like the stock market. But just make the adjustment. Don't spend as much as you was prior, because change is always coming. It'll bounce back. I don't know when. I don't know how or what's going to happen. There's a lot going on in the world right now. A lot going on in the world. So I just give you an update with me. I just unloaded here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm about to get on the scale, actually. I brought a load of recycled, or a load that's going to get recycled. It is a load of hand sanitizer. So they're recycling it. And so I brought it here to a facility, I guess, that will incinerate that particular product. But I tell you one thing, man, it smells really good here. Really good here. So I'm about to hop on the scale, get my empty weight, get my paperwork, and then go home for the weekend, for Easter. I'll be playing bass guitar at my church, spending some time with my family, and doing some barbecuing at our new house. So you guys enjoy your holiday weekend. Happy Easter to those that celebrate that. And we will, follow with you guys. Want to do a video on taxes and accounting, because I think we need to be on top of that on our business. Those are some very, very important things that we need to be as business owners on top of our taxes. So we'll talk soon. Keep doing what you're doing so you can see what it does. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.